Listen, I've never had any problem expressing my opinions, but what we're doing here is bigger than that. These are conversations that need to be had in an unfiltered way. Drag racing's all I've ever done. It's all I care to do. I respect the history, I appreciate how far we've come, but I want more for this sport, and I'll fight for it. It's uncut, it's unfiltered. This is the show of shows. The biggest names in drag racing. No holds barred. This is the great American motorsport. Drag racing. Prove me wrong. I'll wait. Hey gang, Wes Buck here, Drag Illustrated Magazine, checking in. It is Wednesday, June 10th, 2026. I hope you guys are doing well out there around the World Wide Web. Thank you, as always, for joining us here as we break down all the latest happenings in the sport of drag racing, talk shop with our friends. We got a great show for you guys today. I'm super excited to have the Carolina Kid himself, Travis Harvey, on the show. He'll be joining us in about 30, 45 minutes, I believe. He's running a little, he was tied up early this afternoon, so we'll catch him shortly. Then we're going to hear from an old friend, Boddie, the one and only Jay Boddie from Street Outlaws and No Prep Kings fame, putting on a big race this coming weekend at Sonoma Raceway out in California. Kind of excited to touch base and really catch up on the West Coast drag racing scene. Admittedly, sometimes I feel a little disconnected from that. Like, we've always felt that here at Drag Illustrated. Like, for whatever reason, we being a Midwest-based company and an East Coast-based company, and the sport of drag racing being so hot and heavy in the Southeast, it just feels like a rarity for us to get way out West. And I know that even like in the early days of the magazine, 20 years ago, like I could really only afford to go out West like once a year. I'd go to the Winter Nationals in Pomona. There was a few years that I would go to the finals in Pomona, but I always felt like I was a million miles away from home and like, oh my God, what am I doing out here? But some of my favorite races and some great memories took place out on the West Coast. And a beautiful part, I jokingly call Southern California the movie set. Anytime drag racing's happening out there, it's picturesque at the bare minimum. So excited to talk about all that with Boddie and just see where the West Coast scene is at right now. Drag racing has always had that like cyclical, or I've compared it to fashion before, and that, you know, everybody's going to love my Metro analogies here, but it kind of is like that, where things would kind of start burning hot on the East Coast, and then they would trickle across the country from right to left and from east to west, and very interesting thing. So I'm curious to hear, like, you know, what's the hot thing? What's the topic of conversation in the West Coast drag racing community right now? But we got a ton to cover and a limited amount of time to do it. As always, I don't have any problem talking about drag racing, man. Let's introduce my co-host here on the show, the one and only Mike Carpenter. JT's at his son's baseball game, so it's just you and I, big dog.
What's up, man?
What's up, man? Just doing the deal. I'm actually sharing this thing on Facebook right now. I forgot. Let's do it live.
Yeah, I already did mine.
Oh, you did?
JT gets honest. JT gets honest if we don't do our shares. So you got to get that going.
I was trying, but then I was making sure that the audio was going to work. You know, what a deal. What a deal, man. What's new and exciting, dude? How are you? I mean, dude, what a weekend in drag racing. It seems like, is this whole thing like spinning your head the way it is mine? I mean, we're like, there's been 18 Pro Mod races this year, and it's June. NHRA is well into their season, IHRA well into their season, PDRA well into their season, Midwest well into their season. It's, man, we're coming up on the dog days of summer, and it just seems like
I think that we see kind of a shift. We talked about this. We're part of this with the Winter Series, where we're starting earlier, and then you see a lot of these, especially the Pro Mod Series, kind of taking the summer off. And I think we'll hit that little, like you said, the dog days of summer, where IHRA Pro Mod's on a little bit of a hiatus. Midwest, the PDRA schedule's pretty light. IHRA, so a lot of guys will sort of regroup over the summer and then come out swinging again in the fall.
No, I think, you know, I don't want this whole conversation to always go back to Pro Mod, but one of the topics of conversation, and I'm sure we'll touch on this with Travis Harvey here in just a little bit when we're talking about that perfect light in the final round, not 3-0s, 4, big dog. Pretty incredible deal. But you know, there was a lot of scuttlebutt online, and I'm sure you've seen this, just like talking about car counts and participation. And personally, I always want to be like rose-colored glasses. I'm endlessly optimistic. Mike, you've known me longer than anybody. Like, if there's a silver lining to be found, Wes will
The
find
most optimistic.
Yeah,
frustratingly optimistic at times.
Yeah, and that's always been my song and dance. But I do think that we are towing into like market saturation territory. Like I saw Kayla Morton actually posted on Facebook a question like, what's up with the car counts and blah, 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 blah. And I'd like to preface this conversation by first saying that I don't know about you, Mike, but 25, 30 Pro Mod cars in one location is a hell of a show. Like our expectations have been skewed.
They've been reset, right? And again, we're part of that. A lot of these mega events that have happened are part of that. I do think that it came to a head this weekend, though. We did notice some more talk. We saw Disco Dean go live he was live or recorded a video, kind of echoing the same thing as Kayla Morton did. And I think that there was this expectation that you put a big number on the flyer for the payout and you have a pro mod race, and that's really all there is to it. But I think that there's a lot more to it. And I think that we'll kind of see the bar has been raised in so many ways that it's not just a payout. And we've talked about this a lot. There's a lot more to it. The guys are looking for kind of an all-inclusive presentation, and there's so many facets to it. And I think that is part of it. Plus, like we talked about, we're in the summer, you're in Michigan. There are a lot of factors that go into kind of answering those questions that Kayla and Disco Dean had. And I know that it's not really our place, or maybe even any one person's place to lay down the authority that this is the answer as to why. I think there are a lot of factors that go into it.
I agree, man. I mean, I reject the narrative like just entirely that these 6-figure purses automatically fix everything. I think that has, I will say that we have championed big money racing for a long time now. So I'm not at all like poo-pooing on it, but I'm simply saying that is not a silver bullet. It is not the singular thing that makes an event relevant. It's not the singular thing that makes an event cut through. Matter of fact, I think in some regards it may have ran its course. I mean, I don't know, like if you watched Travis Harvey's Winner's Circle interview during the IHRA race this weekend, I mean, they asked him, what are you going to do with $125,000, or whatever. And he's like, I'm not getting that money. That money's like, it's going to be burned up by the car. Like that's us going to 3 more races.
Right.
Yeah.
It's already spent. It's spent to get to that race. And who knows about splitting or anything else. There's a lot of little nuances that will go into that. But yeah, it's funny to hear that, right? I mean, someone like Travis, and like I said, he's a driver for a team, and it likely goes to that team. But I don't know that you really see anybody harp on the money. It's all about that trophy, the prestige, the event win. Travis is probably more proud of his reaction time and the cars he took out to win that race than he was the check. So it's really, I think it's all about the competition. I think the level of competition is what these guys are seeking more than anything. And they want to know, are they going to be able to measure themselves against the best of the best? And I think it starts with that.
I couldn't agree more, man. I mean, I think that there's a lot of layers to this particular onion, but I do think that I want like Midwest, PDRA, IHRA, TJ Pruitt with his events down in the Southeast, like the list goes on. Jarrell Aplow putting on his events in the Northeast. Like I want everybody to hear me plainly that it takes 2 cars to have a drag race. That's kind of the beauty of our sport. And we've gotten drunk on these. Almost every event is kind of measured by car count. And that is not an accurate representation of some of these events. And I think that there's a lot of hubbub online or whatever, and a lot of social media commentary. And I think some of these promoters, track owners, series operators, what have you, these people that are putting these events on, they feel like less that, like, what do we got to do? A 32 car Pro Mod show. This is a big show. I mean, if you really think about what you're doing and what it takes to race Pro Mod today, you're talking about damn near $500,000 race cars, $1 million+ operations, fly-in hired crewmen and tuners, like just the logistical upfront cash layout to get 30 people that are willing to spend that kind of money to do this in one location at one time is an accomplishment. So I do think that we need to kind of hit refresh on our expectations of these events. Like, and it's not lost on me that, like, even if you look at the Winter Series, which I think a lot of people point to, and I'm obviously very proud of, but it's not lost on me that we tick a lot of boxes with those events. Like, we're getting guys that are shaking down new cars. We are getting guys that want that there's no competition. There's no other events that time of year. So we don't have to contend with that. You're getting mine shaft conditions for the most part, great racing surface. You're going to go run your career best. You're going to tick a lot of boxes. You're going to be guilty by association that you're at the biggest door slammer races on the planet Earth. Like, there's a lot of layers to that. So the value stack is like really, really, really significant. But when you start seeing these races, as I said, I can't remember if I said this on the show or in the green room, but I was doing the math this morning. There's been almost 18 or right around 18 Pro Mod races so far this year, counting the snowbirds at the end of last, right? Brother, there have been times in the past where there wasn't 18 Pro Mod races total, and we're at 18 by June 10th. Like, there's no denying that there is a high tide moment happening. There's a lot of movement and enthusiasm, but I think we've got to learn from the lessons of the past. Like, I think one of my favorite kind of thought processes is like learning. They always say the best teacher is experience, right? Trial and effort. It doesn't have to be your experience, right? Like, you can learn from the experiences of others. That's why we read books. That's why we even pay attention to history, is so that we can learn the lessons that those moments have provided us. And I don't think you have to look much further than Radio versus the World as the Herculean next big thing or whatever, but it worked in context. It worked in its confined environment. But when it started popping up at this race, that race, this race is doing a point series, that series is blah, blah, blah. When that happened, we immediately saw it start to wane because it reached market saturation. Last year, Mike, I ran the numbers on this. There was 160 individual cars and drivers that earned points in various competition, right? That's across NHRA, Midwest, IHRA, PDRA, et cetera, right? 160, and I'm specifically talking about Pro Mod, right? Spreading those guys across 35 to 40 events in a calendar year, I don't care what you pay. I don't care what you do. That's a big ask. Like, there's going to be some winners and losers when the math looks like that. Right. Yeah. I mean, there's just not, it's a finite thing. It's racers.
And these guys
racers are a finite resource.
They are, and they have a certain schedule that they want to follow. And Jolie Stanfield is in the comments with a good point also about vacations and graduations and life that kind of gets in the way. And these are not guys that are on the touring series. They're not, they're not NHRA Top Fuel racers. They're not NHRA Pro Stock racers. They're not committed to a championship series. Even a lot of these series that do offer a full championship points purse and points system, you won't see guys attend fully. NHRA has the replacement driver situation where they're allowing guys to come in and put someone in their car.
Midwest does the same thing.
So they can miss a couple of races. And so there's that factor too. And so these guys only want to race a certain number of races. I would guess around 10 would be your optimum number. Some guys, hell, by the end of the Winter Series, we talked about this. There's guys like, man, these 3 races have worn me out. I'm done. Like, this is all I'm doing. I mean, we do see a handful of guys that all they do is run Winter Series. So even 3 of those grueling type races will kind of put your, satisfy you for the year. So everyone's got a different approach to it and different things that they want to see out of Pro Mod and out of these events. And I do feel like, talking about the Pro Mod Mania deal as kind of a specialty event that wasn't a points accruing event, didn't have all the classes. It was sort of a specialty exhibition type of deal. Maybe that's not what the people that are committing to IHRA want to see. I think they want a full touring point system deal. And I think you'll see, I think you'll see a dramatically different situation from a car count. Obviously the classes, the number of classes that they're going to have at this Triple Crown deal. alone is going to probably fix that, plus the payout and everything, the promotion that they've put behind it. And that maybe falls more in line with what their customer is looking for. So it's all kind of a trial and error thing. And I think it was still it offered some great racing, the Pro Mod racing. Like we talked about last week, we expected the Pro Mod racing to be very high level, and it was, especially some of the stuff we saw out of Harvey, Harris, Salemi, Coughlin, the two power adders going at it that were dominant. Yeah, Weatherford. A lot to talk about there as we bring on Travis Harvey.
Yeah, man. I mean, if you think about it, by my math, there's like somewhere between 30 and 50 like touring pros, guys that you're going to see at all the major races, right? The Jason Harris's, I think Lyle.
I mean, Jason Harris has already run an entire season of racing.
Literally, he's run an entire season of racing. And I think that sometimes it is, and this goes back to this like ongoing drag racing identity crisis that exists. I think that we are like trying to serve, like the reality is that very few of these guys do what they do on the drag strip for a living, right? I was actually watching a great episode of Tin Soldiers podcast with Jimmy Dale and Jason Terrell, JT, this morning. And they were just talking about how modern drag racing has changed. And like the reality of this stuff is like, it is wildly expensive. You've got to want to do it. You've got to love to do it. You got to have all these kind of intangible reasons to go do this. And it's changed. Like when I say the thing about identity crisis, what I mean is that like I think the fan base kind of expects everybody to show up to all these races, right? Well, it pays big money. Well, it's like, yeah, but dude, you got to realize this guy's not paying his bills with that money. Only one guy is going to win it. Even if they split, they're probably going to split at 4 cars, maybe at 2. So it's like, is the juice worth the squeeze, right? And what are you trying to get out of this? Like some of these guys, like you said, Mike, are driven entirely by competition. I think that's a large percentage of them, but there is a group of them that are looking to have a good time, spend time with their family, go to a cool place, be a part of something special. Like you've got to tick a lot of boxes on that. And I don't know. It's a really interesting time in our sport. And I don't know if this ever happens, but if there was like an effort for this whole community, like everybody that's involved, and there's a lot of egos, there's a lot of my way or the highway, there's a lot of we want to be number one, there's pecking order things that happen that are unfortunate. But as I say all the time, like collaboration happens at the top, competition happens at the bottom. And I think Pro Mod is screaming for some collaboration. Like I think that if you look at the success of the Winter Series as a whole, specifically the World Series of Pro Mod and what that event represents, it's this coming together. It's coming together of the NHRA guys, the PDRA guys, the Midwest guys, the whatever, the IHRA guys now, like all these different people come together a few times a year, and it creates a really, really, really special happening in the sport of drag racing. But like if we want to spread that out over a calendar year or a traditional drag racing season, we're not going to be doing it. We're not going to be able to do it by all marching to the beat of our own drum. Like there's going to have to be some cohesion to all of this. Or, I mean, my favorite example in the world is boxing. Boxing is the poster child of what is happening to Pro Mod. And we saw it happen there in the 80s and 90s where it got really watered down. There were 70 different heavyweight champions of the world, the IBF, the WBF, the UCF, all these different federations had a heavyweight champion. And it was like, well, who's the champion of the world? Like, who's the baddest son of a bitch on the planet? Who's the baddest man walking?
Yeah, let's cut all the BS. And we want to see the two best against each other. And you see some of those mega events. And then it's like, once that's done, then what do you do next? And from a sustainable business model for those organizations, what do they do? Right? Because, we've seen some different approaches to it. At the end of the day, everyone wants a good show. Look at what what MVP Promotions is doing. With what they've put on with mixed martial arts and boxing, and just bringing a different approach to it and some competition to the sort of ironclad companies that already exist in those spaces. And I think that's what people want to see, right? We can buy into anything. If you tell us and hype it and promote it and really convince us and do all the things that it takes to really make this an event that I don't want to miss because everybody's going to be talking about it. That's more, we're circling back to some of these other things that it takes to have an event go off the way I think we all expect an event to happen in today's time. So we'll definitely have to touch on some of these things as we move forward.
No, I couldn't agree more, man. It's like trying to, I mean, I think that a lot of the fan base and perhaps some of these owner operators, and I'm not like, launching bombs or, shots across the bow here, but it's easy to become desensitized to what it takes to run these things. Like, I'm not saying it's an every weekend thing, but it's not unusual for a team to rack up $30,000 worth of expenses over the course of a weekend racing a Pro Mod, right? Well, I mean, you start doing that 10, 20 times a year, buddy, you better have some deep pockets and you better have some wherewithal financially, because that's a big, big pill to swallow. And I just think that sometimes we get a little desensitized to it. It's like, well, the money's there. Why wouldn't they be there? Well, they're committed to 10 races here. They know they're going to spend 300 grand doing that or whatever, like tacking on 2, 3, 4 more. Like it becomes untenable at some point. So I just hope that this group, because there is something, I will tell you, there is undoubtedly something special happening in Pro Mod right now. I said this 10 years ago, that it was my goal personally to make pro modified drag racing the pinnacle of our sport. Now, I understand, there's, people, detractors that are going to say, oh, nothing's ever going to supersede Top Fuel or Funny Car. And I agree. Nothing is ever going to replace the spectacle of Top Fuel and Funny Car. The level of competition that exists at that in those categories it's absolutely incredible. Like the on-track product, absolutely incredible. But I'm telling you, there is something here with Pro Mod. These are still cars that look like cars, driven by cowboys and cowgirls, do-it-yourselfers, problem solvers, relatable characters that I think is ripe for the big time. And I think we've made a tremendous amount of progress over the course of the last 10 years. I mean, it wasn't that long ago that Pro Mod races were getting taken off of schedules left and right, that they were going away left and right. So we're on the other side of it. But how do we find that sustainable medium, that happy medium, that middle ground where there's regional events that are going to support these contingents of regional racers across the country? There's a slew of flagship or, tent pole events that kind of prop the whole thing up. Trying to get all of that in order. Like if I had my druthers, I would just buy it all. Like, you know what I mean? Like I'm going to buy every sanction in every series. There's gonna be one place to race Pro Mod. And, but that's obviously most likely a pipe dream. But I mean, I do think that that's kind of the mentality we have to be thinking about, or we are going to find ourselves in the same situation as boxing or the ssame situation as Radio versus the World, where it got really big. It reached an unsustainable level and then it crashed and burned. Right. I mean, we just saw what I thought was a fantastic race, the Shakedown at M-Town. Great event, great Pro Mod racing, but Radio versus the World, 4 cars. Right. I mean, this is a category that not too terribly long ago, guys were leaving Pro Mod to build RVW cars. Right. And purpose-built radio cars, different engines, like the whole building purpose-built radio cars. And now we're on the totally other side of it. And for me, I don't know about you, but it's like, what do they say the definition of insanity is? Doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. It's like, okay, guys, we know what this looks like. We know exactly how this shakes out. How do we try to do it different this time? Right. And it's a wild time.
Well, the beauty is there are rules. I think that's a huge thing we talk about. Rules that kind of keeps a lot of this in check, and you can race these things in all different conditions, all different times of day, different tracks. It's a lot more broad appeal. I think it's not. RVW was such a specialty situation, so I think there is more longevity there. There's more inventory than there ever was in RVW, and we'll see where it goes. But let's pay some bills real quick, and then let's get our first guest going.
You got it, big dog. Hey, guys, I do want to take a second and remind you that each and every episode of the Wes Buck Show is made possible by way of our friends at Stroud Safety. 100% made in America, 100% built for racers. From drag chutes and seatbelts to fire suits and ballistic blankets, Stroud Safety has become the standard in racing safety equipment for decades. Tommy Cunningham and his team don't cut corners. They build gear that saves lives. If you're serious about safety, there's one call to make. Check them out at StroudSafety.com and make sure you tell them Wes sent you. JT, I see the man of the hour, the Carolina Kid, but we may start calling this, I don't know, I got to cook up a name, the Michigan Miracle. Not that he necessarily needed it, but what a performance from our next guest. Excited to chat with him. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give it up for Travis Harvey.
What's up, man?
Oh, shit. Can't hear him. Is he muted?
Hold on.
Okay, hold on.
Yeah, you're muted. You got to unmute yourself.
Click. There's a little microphone looking thing, Travis. We're going to get you. Oh,
there you go.
Hear me?
Yep.
We can hear you, brother. How's Travis Harvey today?
I'm good. I'm good. Just working a little bit.
Oh, man. Already back to the grind? You're not at Disney World?
Yes, sir. We got to pay. We got to pay for these race cars.
Oh, he was on the grind Monday morning, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Well, tell us about it, man. I mean, obviously an incredible performance. I don't know about you, but we were excited to see some motors sticking through the hoods, some big blowers sticking through the hoods in the final round. You versus Melanie. This has been a huge conversation, no doubt, over the course of the last couple of days. Just tell me, like, that final round, clearly up on the wheel, trip zip, well, 4 zeros, I guess, with that AccuTime timing system, which was crazy to even see. But just take us through that final round, Travis.
Just going from the start, it's, a lot of tough competition, but I know Melanie in the semis, I feel like she had us by a couple numbers, and I think in the semis, I was.
Phone call. We always struggle.
Hey, man, I'm watching you right now
live
on the, it's so funny.
We always run into this with Travis. He'll be back.
I know. Here we go. He'll be back. One of these days, we're going to have like a completely flawless Travis Harvey appearance on the show. But I do want to run through these final round numbers, Mike. Like Travis Harvey, Melanie, as Travis was getting ready to say, they've been close together all weekend. Travis, I think, qualified ninth in the ninth. Travis qualified ninth with a 362. Melanie qualified fourth with a 360 with a 7. They end up meeting each other in the final round. Travis is perfect on their reaction time, goes 360 with a 5 at 208 to take out Melanie, who was no slouch, 023. I mean, but in most situations, that's a light that's going to
happy
win
with that
race,
yeah.
Right? We got him back. What's up, Travis? We were just talking about that final round.
It was, it was going to be a barn burner. I feel like she was going to be great. We came in, the sun was going down, and I know I could be better on the tree. I said, I'm not putting any in the delay box. I feel like I got to be 00 to win. And I was set up to be 00, and it actually was a little better. I wasn't set up to go quad zeros, but it just worked out. Just a little luck there, and it was just my day.
Man, what do you make of just if you really look at it, I mean, we were just talking the first 30 minutes of the show just about, there's a lot of scuttlebutt online about car count and participation at some of these events, but I was trying to remind folks that getting 24, 32 Pro Mods on the property, that's a hell of a show. And there was no slouches in the field whatsoever. I mean, there was a lot of really, really good cars there. I mean, what do you make of just the level of competition that we're seeing in Pro Mod right now?
It's very strong. Everybody's got great equipment. It's great drivers. Like years ago, I feel like me or somebody like Jason Harris had the advantage on the reaction times, but everybody is good now. Everybody's got the top-notch equipment, got great engine builders, tuners. It takes a lot of money to do it, but it's a lot of well-ran teams out here, and you got to be on your A game. You got to be prepared. You can't leave nothing on the table. It's like Top Fuel racing now. It's crazy. We went from Pro Nitrous to Pro Boost, but we feel like we still running Pro Nitrous how we have to run them so hard each and every round to keep up.
Well, I think a lot of that comes from, guys knowing they're going to have to go up against you. So they are forced to kind of raise their bar and compete with you on the reaction times. But talk to us about, you talk about tuning. Talk us, who's tuning your car? It looks like it's come around here in the last couple of races. You guys have picked up, kind of been toward the front, especially of the screw blown combination. And then also talking about the screw blowers versus the centrifugal superchargers. Early in the event, it looked like they were dominating. The centrifugal cars were qualifying, even the early rounds maybe, but in the later rounds, we did see the screw blowers really come on strong and then run each other in the finals. How are you, kind of seeing that play out so far?
My tuners are doing really great. We brought on, Danny Perry and his sons have been racing with me for years. And Vaughn, the car owner, he wants to do stuff in-house. He really didn't want to bring anybody in. We want to do it all ourselves. And Danny and his sons are doing a heck of a job tuning it. It's everything's going great. He keeps the car. He maintain it. I tell everybody, Danny Perry is the man. He can build a car, he can drive it, he can paint it, he can build engines. So, I'm not liking anything there. But with the screw blowers, I feel like we're still at a disadvantage with the centrifugals. They're back halfing us. We just got to have great conditions to run with them. And I feel like it's closer than it was, but you can't leave anything on the table. I feel like Jason Harris got the baddest race car on the planet right now, and can't nobody run with him. If he's on his game, nobody can compete with Jason.
I can't argue that. Honestly, that's why I think early in the Winter Series with the Elite Motorsports million up for grabs, it was hard, even with knowing how impossible it seems to win 3 of those races in a row. I wouldn't have been surprised to see Jason do it. That's how killer that program is right now. And then they've carried it into 2026 with, big IHRA wins, big PDRA successes. It's kind of insane the level to which this whole deal has gotten. What's your take on it? It's close, right? But you kind of make a really good point. The screw guys are tasked with making a near perfect run. Whereas perhaps in your belief that the centrifugals have a little bit wider of a window?
I feel like it. They have us on the start line before. Now they got us on the finish line. They can back half with us with the screw blowers. Before, the screw blowers, I feel like, had an advantage on the back splits. But now they're just as quick and fast as we are. So we have to turn them very hard to keep up. We have to go, turn these things over 10,000 RPMs, and it's hard on parts. I don't know what the centrifugal guys are doing, but I don't feel like the centrifugals is harder on parts as the screw blower. So it takes a lot of money and a lot of effort to keep up with it. And like I said, we have to work on it. Luckily, we didn't have any issues this past weekend. It went flawless, but it's tough. I feel like, we're limited to overdrive. The screw blower, we cannot we don't have any more boost. We have to spin it hard as we can. And them guys are, they can change gear ratios in the Pro Charger or Hartz Charger and rear gear to make it build more boost. And we can't do that. So I feel like, when these hot conditions come, we lose a lot of power, and they can change things to stay the same.
Yeah, the rule wars will continue throughout the whole year. We'll see how it shapes up through the rest of the summer and going into the fall and winter. Let's talk about, we saw in your car this weekend, we saw Martin Technologies. And I know that's Harold Martin's company. We've seen his name and company around for a long time. We saw it on the side of Corey Smith's car that's out there in Pro Nitrous. But what brought that about, and what is the relationship there? And are we going to see Harold back involved in a bigger way in Pro Mod?
Well, I've talked to Harold a few times over the years, and we kind of, started talking at some of the PDR events when he was there with Corey, and he's a genius. He's very smart, and he come over and talked to me about some nitro stuff, and I kind of talked to him, and we actually had a conversation last night for 2 hours, and it's going to be this is something for the future. I think he's going to be involved with us for hopefully years to come. He's wanting to get on board and bring some things to the table. you know, with his business and his sponsors and the experience he's had with all the electronic stuff. I think he's pretty eager to do it because he haven't been in the boosted, you know, stuff. He's always did nitrous, so he's very excited to figure out something different on, you know, it's kind of a challenge to him. So I feel like it's going to be something great. We'll see how it goes, and we got another car coming, and maybe 3 cars we're talking about, where it's actually in the works that the nitrous cars get converted over to a centrifugal. So maybe we'll see Corey in one of the cars also.
Man, that'd be cool. Like, I mean, just even seeing Harold Martin at the racetrack a little bit, like, I've always been a big fan. I remember the first time I saw him race, like, an absolute, I mean, the original EFI wizard, right? I mean, this was the guy that was EFI before anybody was EFI. And I got to imagine that for Harold Martin, looking at Pro Mod now with all the electronics and all the technology, this is probably more exciting to Harold Martin than it's ever been.
Yeah, for sure. And he was there Friday with us all day. He had a prior commitment on Saturday, so he couldn't be there. His son and his family was there, and he came in the trailer and he was looking at some of the data and he was asking questions like, why are we not doing this? Can we have more time and stuff like that? So he's very eager to get involved in it and see what we can do with it.
It's exciting, man. It's cool to see that logo on the side of the car. So one of the things that we've been talking about a lot, Travis, is just like how many races there are. Like, we're seeing back to back events. More Pro Mod drag racing is happening in 2026 than has ever happened, especially high level Pro Mod racing. Like, I'm sure there have been times in the past, Mike, you might be able to speak to this, or Bobby Bennett, or one of the East Coast, Brett Kepner, one of the historians. But like, as far as big, significant races, we've got a multitude of 6-figure payout races. We've got multiple, what I would call big independent events, not to mention NHRA, PDRA, Midwest Drag Racing Series. What does the rest of your summer look like? And how do you guys kind of like get your head wrapped around what we're going to do? We see teams that are really regionally focused. We see teams that are chasing points in certain series, competing for a championship. We see guys that are opportunistic, big money chasers. They're kind of our sport's big game hunters. Where do you think, I mean, how do you see that whole scenario? Like, what's your take on it?
Well, so many Pro Mod racers, you know, it's not a lot. So it's kind of spread thin. You know, you have a lot of racetracks wanting to do things in series, and like IHRA pays good money, but some guys don't care about the money. They want to race for points. So I feel like this past weekend, it was nothing like a points race. So some of the guys didn't really care about the money. They just, you know, chasing points like the Midwest or PDRA and stuff like that. So I think, you know, and it's a NHRA race this weekend, it's a IHRA race the following weekend, and PDRA, and like my whole month of June is full. You know, I raced last week. I'll be subbing for Justin this weekend in NHRA, and then we have I would be in IHRA, but we have a small tire race in Rockingham, a big no time race, so I can't go. But then we'll be in PDRA, and the list goes on. It's like every weekend, and it's hard I'm just fortunate enough that I got people behind me to back me and sponsors that we can, and I just won a lot of money. So it helps a lot. That's why we go to the big money stuff, because I mean, it paid a lot. Like what we won this past weekend, we would have to win every race in PDRA to you know, to equal that. So, and I'm not knocking any of the series. I mean, it's just, you know, some people like doing it. Some people like going for the big money stuff.
Yeah,
but I
that's
think
what we said. We were saying that before you came on about the points and the difference there. And that is maybe some news out of Wes. You kind of seemed surprised there when you heard that he's going to be subbing for Justin Bond again this weekend. I don't know if it's been officially announced. I heard about it from Eric Holland that you're going right from this IHRA race to Bristol to try to earn a Wally this weekend in NHRA. So you've subbed for Justin before. I think you subbed for Belushi at one point as well. So what's it like to go from that? I mean, we always like to talk to you when you come on about you're jumping from a 1/8 mile Pro Mod, screw blown Pro Mod, to a 1/4 mile Pro Mod, to a radio car on the 1/8 mile, all these different combinations, nitrous car, big dog. When you're running that, what's it like to kind of go switch gears from what you did last weekend to NHRA?
Oh, is he froze up?
Nope. Frozen.
Call. He got a call. Let's see. Maybe we'll get him back.
Yeah, we'll get him back.
I did not know that he was driving for Justin Bond again.
Yeah, I was going to bring it up.
A little bit of breaking news here
Yeah.
On the Drag Illustrated socials. Travis, the Carolina kid, filling in for Justin Bond, who's still recovering from a leg injury. And that's, wow, what a deal, man.
Yeah,
I'm excited.
I don't know. I don't know the reasoning why. I mean, I'm sure we could just ask Justin and he'll let us know, but it could be just be a schedule, maybe a vacation thing. We talked about the replacement driver program in NHRA and what they have, and it's kind of designed for this exact reason. So even one of the most hardcore guys out there, Justin Bond, is going to put someone in his car for this weekend. And I think we're seeing that. I mean, this will be probably the second or third year in a row that that Travis himself has subbed for someone. So it's pretty common at this point, and we'll see him. We'll see Aaron Stanfield, as Joshua Jones is mentioning here. That's more of a permanent situation than a replacement driver, where he's going to take over for the Modern Racing Elite Motorsports car, formerly piloted by Mason Wright. But definitely going to be some shakeups in IHRA Pro Mod this weekend.
I tell you what, man, I'm excited. I mean, I obviously Travis Harvey, like coming off this win. I mean, I would argue that I think Travis is one of, if not the best and most consistent drivers in drag racing. Like,
there's no doubt. There's no, if you ask almost anybody, who would you put in your car if you could pick anybody, and that's probably Justin Bond's situation, and he picks Travis Harvey. So he's able to do it. I've seen the guy literally race a pro nitrous car and run around and jump on a scooter with his helmet still on and come back up to the starting line and jump in a pro boost car and go like 00 in both back to back in literally a matter of minutes. So there's no one that's better suited to make all these switches that we're talking about. But we talk about the oversaturation of Pro Mod. I mean, this is a guy that's having to basically choose, like he's got an opportunity to run a Pro Mod next weekend, and he has to choose, am I going to the small tire deal? Am I going to do an HRA? Am I going to do IHRA? He's a guy, PDRA. He's a guy that's in demand for his driving skills, where he's got to actually choose. So he's got another layer to the saturation, I guess you could say.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. I mean, because there's not a tremendous amount of crossover teams that run IHRA, run the 1/8 mile outlaw stuff and also tour with the NHRA series. But it'll be interesting to see, like, how I would say being in Justin Bond's car, a world-class operation, a car that's fast, a car that's been competing for a championship for a hot minute. You put Travis in that bad boy again. I mean, he may be staring down the barrel of another one of these Diamond Wally, which, I mean, I don't think anybody would deny is the prize of 2026. It's what all these guys want. And I'm sure Aaron Stanfield's going to feel much the same. I'm excited to see Aaron in a full-time Pro Mod deal. I think that bodes well for Pro Mod drag racing if we have the chance to maybe keep Aaron Stanfield in a car. It looks like we got Travis back, Mike. Let's see what's going on.
My phone's a piece of crap.
That's okay. That's the first thing I'm going to get you when I see you good. Next.
Use some of those winnings for an upgrade.
But back to the Pro Mod stuff. I enjoy racing with Justin and his team. Brad, I get along great with Brad. We ran with Belushi, and I was fortunate enough to win. And we went with Justin. Justin couldn't make it to the Gator Nationals, but we had a great car. I qualified number 2, and we just had a mishap first round, a fluid leak. So hopefully this weekend we can kind of capitalize on. I feel like the car is really good. He's got great power, and I told the guys last week I had an Ironman. Now it's time to get a Wally again.
We were just talking about that. Get one of these Diamond NHRA Diamond 75th anniversary season Wallies. Like, that's got to be the prize of 2026. Like, every drag racer worth their salt wants to have one of those.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, NHRA is the top of the food chain. You know, I enjoy racing there. The structure is, you know, it ran very well. And I just hope we have some great luck. I think they did some surface stuff on the racetrack, and I think Brad, he's got a lot of data there, so he'll be great.
Oh yeah.
How
man.
does that go? How does that go when you get that call? Like, we were talking about like guys that if guys can pick whoever they want to put in a car, you've got to be at the top of the list. And I think that's probably how this situation went with Justin. But how does that go? I mean, as far as you kind of being the go-to guy for a team like Justin Bond now.
It's awesome. You know, I feel privileged for him to call me. And so when he called me up, I changed all my plans, and I just prepared to go racing because I mean, I enjoy racing with him, and he's got a fast race car, and I got a chance to win a Wally, and hopefully I can gain some points for him. I think it's 1.5 points this weekend, so hopefully we can put him at the top of the list.
Dude, is it 1.5 points? Is this the beginning of the road to the championship for NHRA Pro Mod?
I'm not sure. I'm not totally
sure.
It
must be.
I think the last race is Norwalk, but I could be wrong. But I think it's some kind of double point, not double points, but I think it's points and a half.
I like it, man. No, you're in a position to really make a difference for these old boys. And it's NHRA Pro Mod. I think they've turned the corner as well. Like it's really, I mean, obviously we talk about this a lot. And if you look at the sport through the lens of the world economy, gas prices, what it costs, the level of competition, like, I don't think it's anything to be upset about that there's 18, 20 cars showing up at these NHRA races. They're 18 to 20 of the baddest on the planet. I think the NHRA Pro Mod program is actually in a pretty damn good position. I'm excited to see the rest of this season and what that whole deal has in store for the future. You mentioned earlier a possible second car. I'm curious, like, how many conversations has your team had about, you know, specifically your 8 Mile Outlaw Pro Mod team about making the switch from a screw blower to a centrifugal?
Well, the plan to have the second car, we was going to run the screw blower car and some NHRA, but this second car, Danny's son, Carson Perry, he's a young kid. He's going to be driving it, and it has a Hartz charger on it. So it's ready. I think they're starting it this week, going testing, and it should be ready. I don't know if we'll be ready for PDRA in Maryland, but I'm sure the next race, he'll be prepared to go racing. Hopefully everything tests well, and it's a badass ride. No
joke, man. That's exciting, dude. I feel like something is going to have to happen to prevent everybody from doing exactly what you're doing. You know what I mean? Like we're as much as we are about the stars and the men and women behind the wheel, that's what we think makes the difference. We can't ignore the fact that this different cars and different looks and whatnot are an important part of Pro Mod's character. Do you think about that? Like, hey man, we probably better do something before we find every car in the field being one with a centrifugal, a flat hood.
Yeah, I mean, nitrous is gone, you know, just because of that, because of the boosted combinations. Now you got the centrifugal cars is dominating, and some of the screw blowers are, you know, getting for sale, and they're changing them over. So I don't want to see just a one power adder class, you know, just centrifugal cars and no screw blowers. But I think if nothing changes, it's going to go that route because I feel like they're easier to run, maybe a little less maintenance, and they're faster. So why not switch over?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to argue. I mean, I've had this conversation with dozens of racers at this point, and I know Mike has too. And it's like, how do you argue against this at this point in time?
Yeah, I think you got Totoro, you got Salemi, Stevie, all them guys are switching from screw blowers over to centrifugal cars. But hopefully they can show their hand, and maybe the rules would be changed, because I'm sure that Totoro camp or Salemi camps, they're going to push them to the limit, so we can get a little advantage on the screw blowers.
Yeah, no joke, but we're just going to have to hope that people hang around long enough for that to be the case, right? I mean, because I'm going, shit, they're all going to be switched over by the time a sweeping change is made. And it leads me to my next thing. And I know you've got other commitments, Travis, but we appreciate your time here today. Will you take us through, like, you're still obviously active as a promoter. You're talking about a small tire race coming up at Rockingham. Like I was talking, we're going to be talking a little bit later in the show with Boddie Senior from out west, and I was just like, what's your take kind of on the East Coast drag racing scene right now? Like it seems like there's a lot of these no time events, perhaps more now so than ever. We are seeing like the inclusion of some of the class cars a little bit more frequently. Some of that really hard and fast rules about not being able to show times is seemingly kind of going away. There are some promoters that are sticking to it, some that are a little more open. I'm just curious, like, can you take the temperature of that scene for us?
It sucks right now, to be honest with you. Just too many races. It's promoters coming in day in and day out. You know, so many people doing it right now. And I mean, you still have guys like Mike Hill. He's a legend in the no time stuff. He have great events, but he's very respected in the no time world. But somebody like Mirror Lance, they don't care if we have a race. So it'll be 5 or 6 races thrown on top of us. You know, we have a schedule put out and at the beginning of the year, or 8 months prior to the beginning of the year, then you have a race thrown and put on top of you, and it's not many cars, and it's hard and no rules. So a lot of the backyard guys, they're not showing up. They're doing other stuff. So it's tough right now for a promoter, and it's not many fans in the stands because there's so many events. You have one this weekend, and you have 2 or 3 in the same state next weekend. So the fans will say, "Oh, I don't want to come this weekend. I go next week." So it's tough.
It really is, man. I mean, we were just talking about that with Pro Mod. Like that it becomes watered down, and I don't know, like, because I hate to hear that you feel like you guys don't get the respect you deserve from some of these other promoters. I know that happens all the time. Like we're going through a situation right now with my boys, Michael Poland and Jimmy Dale, where every time I turn around, somebody is using the Lil Gangsta's name, which we're massively invested in, have put a lot of time and energy behind it. And it's like every Tom, Dick, and Harry that wants to put on one of these 530 index racers wants to call it Lil Gangsters. Well, it's not Little Gangsters if our group's not involved in it, right? And so it's like, but it is kind of weird. Like I get frustrated. What do you think drives that, Travis? That like, why isn't there more people willing to work together? I mean, I think Pro Mod could be in a totally different place a year from now if some of these people that are leading the individual tribes would have one conversation together. Like, hey, I'm going to do this. You're going to do this. We're going to try to stay X amount. I mean, I understand there's only 52 weekends in a year, but it's like, we got to decide, like, do we want this thing to survive and grow, or do we all want to continue getting by the skin of our teeth? Does that make sense?
Right. It's a lot of egos involved, and I feel like they're out to outdo one another, and just, it's not good for the racers or the fans or the whole sport in general, because it's too many. Like, imagine if we had Big Dog in Rockingham, Piedmont in Rockingham. I mean, that would be like 16 more races for us. But, fortunately, we don't have Piedmont right now. And Rockingham decided it was too many events, so they canceled it. And I think that was great on their part. But I feel like, we tried in the no time world to partner up with some of these guys, and they really didn't want to do it. But this next weekend is it's the South versus DMV, Virginia, Maryland, and DC or whatever. That's what they call it. So some of the northern promoters are coming down to team up with Lance and I. And I think it's going to be a great show, because a lot of guys coming from up north to come down to Rockingham, and some South guys coming. So I think it's going to be a great race.
That's that coming together we're talking about, man. When people from these different communities come together, it's a special stuff happens. Well, Travis, we couldn't be more excited for you. Congratulations. I don't even know how you dialed up that. Did you have any thoughts about, I just want to get one thing. You're so close to a red light that would have haunted you for the rest of your life. Like, was it too close?
Yeah, it was definitely too close, but you have to be on your game, and you can't, take nobody for granted. I didn't really want to be that red. I mean, that was just, and the conditions came to me because dusk rounds, when it's dark out, you can see the tree better. And I was set up to be good, but not that good. And like 1/10,000th of a second, I would be crying right now.
Yeah, like they say, that's a bad job of red lighting, but when it goes your way, it goes your way, right? I mean, you'll take it. But yeah, it's one of those deals. You're getting all the love for it, but as a driver, you're like, all right, I'm gonna put a couple numbers back in that thing for next time. So go celebrate. I know there's not much time, right? You're at work, turning right around from IHRA, headed to NHRA. What, tomorrow? You're heading up to Bristol?
Yeah, I'll be there tomorrow evening.
So not a lot of time. Hopefully you get to celebrate this win with your team and family in at least some way, and then try to do it again this coming weekend in Bristol.
Thank you.
I hope you're not flying.
I'm driving.
He's not flying. That's only like a 3-hour drive. He's
Dude, apparently there's a sinkhole on a runway at the airport in Bristol, and flights are getting like no flights are going in there.
I haven't heard of that, but yeah, I'm driving. It's like 2.5 hours for me, so
okay.
I don't
easy peasy.
Yeah, but I thank you guys for bringing me on, and it was great talking to you guys again.
We appreciate you, Travis. Best of luck, brother. Keep it up.
Congrats, man.
Congrats. Thanks, brother. All right, guys, let me take a quick second here and remind you that each and every episode of the Wes Buck Show is brought to you by Redline Synthetic Oil, formulated to win, proven by you. Since 1979, Redline has been protecting engines from 11,000 horsepower nitro motors to 50cc motorcycles. Ty Tutterow, Steve Torrance, Callie Mills, Spencer Hyde, Scott Palmer, Tommy Franklin, champions and contenders who trust Redline Oil to get it done. Check out their full product lineup at redlineoil.com. When you know, you know. Mike, I love me some Travis Harvey, man. He is a low-key, soft-spoken, just great human being, and it's also
just back
great
to work,
to see
man.
him. I know,
Doing
isn't that kind
tile.
of crazy?
Harvey Tile Pros, check him out for your tile showers. That's what he does, man. That's his job. I mean, it just like you said, unassuming. You would never know that he's like one of the most feared guys in drag racing.
It's crazy. I mean, I think right now that he has to be, that is the absolute, no matter where he qualifies, no matter how they did in testing, no matter what they look like early, that's the last dude you want in the other lane.
No doubt. And he elevates everybody else. I mean, look at all the reaction times when people got to run him. I mean, there's guys that are in that category that we talk about. Stanfield. I mean, I think that's why he's in that car this weekend, right? I mean, he's already proven what he can do in these other classes. Now he's done it in Pro Mod. All these got Lyle. There's a handful of guys I would say that push these other teams with their reaction times, and you know what you're going to get, like the Justin Ashley effect in Top Fuel that we've talked about. You're seeing this across the board. Who'd we talk to a couple of weeks ago where they're like, this is what you got to do in fuel now. You're late.
Clay Milliken.
You're late if you're 040, you know, that or 050, 040 to 060. Somebody said that they were set up to be in that window. Who do we have on? I'm trying to remember. And they said, you can't do that anymore. You've got to be, quicker than that. So we've started to see, I think it's technology, parts availability, just how good these teams are at putting the number in the car. The driver has to make the difference. We saw it all winter series. It's always been a pro stock thing. You always say, man, that's pro stocks. That's pro stock racing, or that's sportsman racing. That's bracket racing. And the pros was more decided between green light and finish line. You know what I mean? But now it's decided on the starting line more times than not. 8th Mile Racing, I think, really amplifies that also.
I mean, dude, I tell you, like, if you look at the NHRA Top Fuel leaderboard, like as far as reaction time averages go, like Justin Ashley is literally averaging an 037 light in a Top Fuel car. Like he's damn near a 10th better than the next closest guy, Will Smith, right now, that has made, a representative number of runs. And if you the average in the class was like a 90 light 2 years ago. That was the class average. And here we are 2 seasons later, and we've got guys. I mean, Antron Brown's average is 056. Tony Stewart, I saw somebody mention him in the comments. His average reaction time in 2026 is a 61. That's really, really impressive, and it exists across the board. I mean, if you look at pro stock, it's obviously different, but it's still like, it's not as far apart as it once was, to your point. Like Aaron Stanfield right now in 2026 is leading the charge in pro stock reaction time. He's 0.26 across 14 runs. His average is 0.26. Matt Latino is the next closest, 0.30 across 14 runs. So, I mean, I love seeing this because I do think that there was a moment in time where there was a lot of conversation like about, oh, it's just these cars, you know, there's so many electronics, so many computer systems, so many things are automatic shifters, blah, blah, blah. But I got to tell you, I think there is more onus on the driver right now than at any point in the past. I'm not saying the cars aren't less difficult to drive than they were or better handling than they were. All those things are true. Definitely more reliable, definitely safer, all those things. But you talk about a lump in your throat, you're rolling up to the starting line of these deals knowing, as Travis Harvey was just telling us, you're going to win one of these big Pro Mod races. You get down to the final, you better be 0.20 or better if you're going to have a chance. You know what I'm saying? So very interesting stuff, no doubt, man.
Yeah, man.
No, I hardly.
It's the reliable, like you said, reliability, and you're eliminating the variables. Like you talk about all these things that driver aids or whatever you want to say it, traction control, all these things. It makes it so that one variable becomes the driver. And I think that is what we're seeing in so many of these high level deals, plus the purses, the prestige, a lot of these events. It really, all these factors go together to make what we're seeing, I think, so far in 2026.
There's no doubt, man. I honestly look at, you know, these last few races. I mean, honestly, the Pro Mod racing that we've seen, but these last couple of weekends, the Shakedown at M-Town, the IHRA Pro Mod Mania event, like, there's some really, really, really great drag racers. And I think when I look at those qualifying lists and the entry lists and stuff, I see star power. Like, I really see some people that are like breaking through that I think have potential to become household names in this sport, if not in mainstream sports. Like, and that's what excites me is like, hey, these are some, like, how do you not fall in love with Travis Harvey, who's literally won the biggest drag race of his life probably this past weekend and is back to work, you know, Monday morning, living his, like, that's a story that's relatable to the masses. Like, these are guys that are doing this as pursuing a dream, right? And who can't appreciate that? Who can't rally around that? So I think we've got to, I'm glad we had him on the show. Like, I think it's super important. Now, let's talk about this. This is a great, what do you make of seeing Paige Coughlin in Pro Mod, like officially, like seeing Jegs back on the side of a Pro Mod car? It was a little bit of a blast from the past. I immediately think of all of Troy Coughlin's success in IHRA Pro Mod competition. NMCA Pro Street before that, big dog competition a couple of times. Like, seeing that brand well represented in outlaw door slammer drag racing. Obviously, Paige isn't, you know, exactly new to the game. She's been involved with No Prep Kings the last few seasons, made a name for herself there, did a great job. But man, she 2 races in, I'm impressed. I mean, I feel like they've got clearly teamed up with Peter Norton and the gang at Hurricane Motorsports. Like, they've got a hot rod, and I think she's a race car driver.
Yeah, there's no doubt, man. We already knew that, and she's definitely proven herself right away. We saw a little bit of growing pains there. I think that one run in eliminations where the car had the wheels up and drove to the center, and she got all over the cones there. It's like, you're going to have a couple of those, right? When you're adjusting to how these cars are handling versus what she's driven prior to this. But yeah, great to see her. That race, the Shakedown in M-Town, I think was a great event for teams like hers to kind of make that move and then go right into IHRA. And we've got all this covered. We need to touch real quick on our event hubs that we've been doing we did it for the M-Town event. We did it for the Pro Mod Mania, IHRA at Epping, which we haven't really touched on much to this point. Last weekend, we've got these new event hubs. And right now during the show, for a lot of this information, we're actually relying on these that have already been put together and are updated throughout the weekend for you guys to check out on dragillustrated.com.
Yeah, man, I'm especially proud of this, and this is like a project that has really hit home for me. I don't know what it is about it, but you know, I've always fancied we here at Drag Illustrated as storytellers, right? I've never really felt over the course of 20 years that, while we were certainly covering the news and we were providing, you know, results and coverage and stuff, it just felt like there were things in place. I didn't necessarily want to dive into that world too heavily. I wanted to focus on telling the stories behind the events, right? The off the beaten path stuff, kind of show the behind the scenes stuff. But as we've headed into 2026, and I will issue this as something of an open challenge to promoters and everybody that's involved with racing, that's putting on an event or running one of these series. I thought about this a lot in recent weeks and months, that we've got to do a better job. Like, we've got to do a better job of making it easy to be a fan of drag racing. We talk all the time about how do we grow the sport? How do we get more people involved? But one of the things that we have like grossly overlooked, in my opinion, is just taking great care of the fan base that we have and making it easy to get new fans. Because how many times, like this happens quite frequently, where you're literally telling somebody about an event that's coming up locally, some drag racing thing, and you tell them that they should go. They Google it, right? Because that's what everybody does. They type it into Google, and all they get is 10,000 pages of posts on Facebook, whatever, people they aren't friends with, a video that's taken with a potato phone with no context and no description. And I really feel like a lot of promoters these days kind of feel like all they've got to do is throw a flyer on social media, have ChatGPT bang out a flyer, throw it on social media, and boom, my job is done. Right.
Yeah.
And I think,
or you didn't see it on the live feed. You weren't watching the live stream. I mean, I talk about that, the over reliance on, hey, I put it on a feed, or it's live on Facebook, or it's live on YouTube, or whatever, and that's good enough, and we don't need to provide any other results.
And it's absolutely not the case. Unfortunately, in this day and age, I don't think people's expectations as a whole have never been higher. Like, we've all been spoiled by the Amazons of the world. We've all been spoiled by the subscription services of the world. We've all been spoiled by streaming. We've all been spoiled by this instant gratification world that we live in. And we've got to do a better job as a sport in providing real, meaningful information to our fan base. Because like, even me, like when we're preparing for this show and putting together notes in weeks past and months past, this is the 428th episode of the Wes Buck Show, by the way. Like, it's a whole deal. Like, you're going to 10 different websites, clicking around to 1,000 different links, saving. I mean, I think about this sometimes. The extent of the coverage of some of these events is a picture of a piece of paper. It's 2026, friends, right? Like, that's how these events are covered. We're taking a picture of paper.
Yeah.
Like, if in any other sport, we would be laughed out of the building. But that is like I mean, we've done it. We're guilty of it, right? So I'm not like throwing stones. I'm saying as a community, we've allowed this to be okay, and it's not, right? Like, I can't count the number of events. Like, there are a lot of major events in the sport of drag racing that you could Google right now and no fucking clue what happened last year. None. Spend an hour and have no idea. Big events, have no idea what happened, who won, who qualified well, who lost on a crazy hole shot. None of that. And it's really shocking to me. I mean, and there are some people in our space that have done a good job. Like, I want to immediately give credit to the NHRA. Like, I think the NHRA, for all the hell they take, they make our job in the media really easy. Like, we get pre and post race press releases, we get media, we get press throughout the weekend, we get access to photos, we get access to videos, whether we've got a reporter on the grounds or not. There's a pipeline in place to make sure that Drag Illustrated can do a good job for the NHRA. But I will tell you, the PDRA does a fantastic job with results and coverage, but that is because we do it for them, right? Like, we provide, all those press releases, all those event stories that get picked up by every other drag racing outlet. We produce those in-house here at Drag Illustrated. But then you start looking around at some of these independent events, and it's like, there is no written record. I mean, if you think of independent promoters, no one has done it better than Jason Miller with Import vs. Domestic World Cup Finals. If you go to importvsdomestic.com right now, you can plow through, you can find out who won the first one 30 years ago, right? But I will tell you, on the other side, it's still an archaic presentation, right? It's an Excel spreadsheet, essentially. It's a table with, line after line after line after line of text. And that's great. It's a great resource, and it's important to have it. And it's way better than what most have. But I still think if we want to grow our sport, Mike, if we want to get people excited about this, we got to make it easier to be a fan. We got to make it easier to follow along. We spent the first hour of the show talking about how many races there are. right? Well, that's not going to change anytime soon, right? We may only see more. So there has to be someone doing the hard work that's compiling all this information and putting it into a single place. And that's what we've done with the new Drag Illustrated event hubs. We started doing this. The very first one was for, I believe, the IHRA race in Valdosta. I did a few trial runs to just make sure that we could do it and do it repeatedly. Now we're doing it constantly. We produced 2 last weekend. We'll produce another 2 this weekend. And these are singular destinations on the web that are, this is the most important thing, especially if you're like seeking sponsors. Like how many times, I know I've experienced this, I'm talking to somebody that's showing some interest in what I'm doing. Right? Maybe it's a big money guy, or it's some corporate guy, or maybe it's just some small business owner. And we're talking about what's going on, and I'm trying to get them involved in what we're doing. And they walk away from the conversation and they go to Google us. Well, they can't find anything about it. Right? Or worse yet, I try to Google it to show them, and I'm scrolling through pages and pages and pages of results trying to find it. And it's like,
there's nothing worse than the expert on the subject, not being able to quickly find the information. I've done that a couple of times too. It's embarrassing as hell.
I mean, it's embarrassing as hell. And I feel like what we can do here at Drag Illustrated that we have not made a point of doing in the past. We felt like there were other people doing it, but I just feel like we can do it better. I really did bring that to the team earlier this year. I said, hey, listen, we've got to improve event coverage. If we want to grow the sport, we have to make it easier to be a fan. We have to make it easier for racers, sponsors, people that are stakeholders in these events to find information, to have some sort of permanent record of what happened. And in this day and age, man, I don't want to get too technical, but it wasn't that long ago. I don't know if you remember Google-ageddon, where Google was changing their search engine algorithm. And if your website wasn't mobile responsive, it was getting kicked out of the Google search index. So like if you didn't have a mobile responsive website, no one was going to be able to find you via Google, which is a $1 trillion company, gets like billions of queries a day, right? So it's like, if you're not there, you're in deep, deep shit, right? And as I look forward in this rapidly advancing technological world we live in, you better be ahead of the game on this type of stuff. So any promoters out there, like I encourage you, buy a website. You can get a domain on GoDaddy.com for $10, right? Whatever the name of your event is, go buy it. Go buy it right now. There's a chance that I already own it. Hit me up. You know what I mean? Because I buy them all, right? I buy them all. But my point is that this is not rocket science. In this day and age, you can have a website live on the internet in 5 minutes. I know I can. And if you can't, there are people who can. And I do think that this sport, if you look at all the other sports and their growth, they invest in media. They invest in storytelling. Like when new ownership took over the Formula One, what's the first thing they did? Invest in media. We're going to have a reality show. We're going to have a magazine. We're going to do this. We're going to do these. They invested in media. UFC, before every one of their events, there's an embedded video series. There's all this content online. They're putting out all this information. They invest in media. Drag racing, for whatever reason, we find ourselves kind of just mired in this kind of ongoing existence. Like we're never at the top of the heap. We're never at the bottom, right? We just kind of float here in the motorsports world. And it's like, there's a way, to me, looking around, we need to invest more in media. Like we have to do a better job of putting this stuff, this incredible on-track action, this incredible group of people, we got to find better ways to put them in front of the masses to get more eyes on what they're doing. And it will benefit us all because we're only 1 or 2 of the right people Googling those things and seeing something they like, right? And all of a sudden, there's a new sponsor happening. There's a new TV show happening. And it's a very important thing. We're super proud of it. We actually just put out an internal schedule of all the events we plan to cover throughout the rest of 2026. These event hubs, I think they're massively important because they load fast. They load on phones. You're not pinching and zooming to try to read them. They're easily organized and all the information's there. Like I want to know what the track record is at Sonoma, right? I want to know what time the TV broadcast is coming on. I want to know what time first round of qualifying is on Friday, right? And I don't want to have to click through 30 different things on NHRA.com to find out. Or I don't want to zoom in at what is essentially a fax of the results. I want to see modern motorsports coverage. Yeah. And I think that that's something that we are trying to bring to the table in 2026. We're super excited about it. And I threw some links in the comments. I mean, this is the stuff to me that will help what are we doing to grow our sport? Drag racing results for the last however long have seemingly lived everywhere and nowhere, right? Like if you're the friends with the right person on Facebook, you ain't going to miss nothing.
You got them all. We do. We rely on that. We rely on that way too much and expect everyone
100%.
to see the same things we're seeing. So absolutely check out those links, and we're going to be continuing to develop and add to that as we go. But let's pay some more bills, and we got our next guest lined up, man.
You got it, buddy. Guys, I want to remind you that each and every episode of the Wes Buck Show is brought to you by Jerry Bickle Race Cars, the foundation of fast. For decades, Jerry Bickle Race Cars has set the standard in Pro Mod chassis. Now, with Rick Horde and the team carrying that tradition forward, they're not just preserving a legacy, they're building on it. Every day, from rolling chassis to race-ready components, if you're serious about going fast, your journey starts at Jerry Bickle Race Cars. Engineering first, proven on the track, built to win. Learn more at jerrybickle.com. That's jerrybickle.com. Guys, we got two big guests in the house, and we're going to talk about West Coast drag racing. We talked a bunch about East Coast drag racing, and now it's time to turn our attention out west. We got Matt and Boddie talking race wars coming up this weekend at Sonoma. What's going on, boys?
How's it going?
Man, I'm doing great, man. How the hell are y'all?
We great. Can you hear me?
We can hear you, big dog.
Okay, well, I'm doing great, man. We doing great out here. It's real sunny. It's a hot day today, so we enjoying it.
Good, man. How about you, Matt? And we've met, I believe, once in passing somewhere at an event. But for everybody that's watching in or tuning in for the first time, introduce yourself.
Yeah, my name's Matt. I'm the one of the owners of Race Wars. We've been around since 2013. And Wes, I'm not sure, we probably met at World Cup Finals because I know you were there. Yeah, man, doing good. Excited for this weekend. Obviously, our event's coming up at Sonoma, so we're in crunch time. But just so thankful that you had the time to sneak us in on the show.
Oh, no problem. Boddie, can you not hear us?
I can hear you, but I can't hear Matt for some reason.
Weird. We had this issue a few weeks ago.
That's
we'll have
weird,
it's all good, dude. Don't worry about it. Well, hey, so tell me, Matt, Race Wars, like you said, you've been around since 2013. I'm seeing some big tire stuff. Like, what's new for this coming weekend? Because I know what that crunch week is like. I can't imagine you've even got time to mess with us. So thank you. But tell us about the class breakdown. And Boddie, I'll fill you in and bring you in here where we can.
Yeah,
Okay.
and that is really a great question for Boddie. The biggest change that we have this year is introducing Boddie. So, longtime fan of drag racing. Boddie and I were talking about this before the call, but when I was younger, 22, I was going to Sacramento Raceway, and the big race on the West Coast that everybody went to was Boddie's event. And so, really, I was still a kid. And so I'm going to Boddie's drag races, and I've never seen anything like this. I mean, there's 10,000 people. It's 4 days long. There's the craziest cars you've ever seen. And so I'm just immediately hooked. I'm a fanboy, and I'm like, this is insane. And then, circle 13 years later, I'm reaching out to Boddie going, would you be willing to kind of come back out of event retirement and become our drag racing director? So if I could say there's anything that's new, Boddie is the biggest thing is having him at the helm of all the drag racing operations.
I love to hear it. Boddie, Matt was just telling us that really the big change for Race War, the new news, if you will, is your involvement. He talked about going to your event a dozen years ago, seeing what you had built. Because I'm the same way. I've never been to one of Boddie's races, but I've heard about him for a hot minute. Right. And I told Boddie earlier in the week that I'm going to come hang with him here soon, hopefully. But it's like, tell us about this. Like, how did this come together, Boddie? Like, obviously you've been in the promotion game for a long time, but kind of back on the scene in a big way. You just had a big race. Now you've got another one coming up in partnership with Matt. Tell us about this. How excited are you about bringing this event to Sonoma?
Man, I'm super thrilled, man. You know I am. I'm all about the West Coast, man. And these guys at Race Wars really kept racing on the West Coast alive. If everybody know, I took off. I went with Street Outlaws, and I went on a world tour. We were racing all over the country, and those guys stepped right in and developed a huge event. It was crazy because every time we were racing at the same time and I was running the Street Outlaws, I felt like I was really missing something. These guys really put on a great event. So to add me to be the new addition to this West Coast fire that we have, man, and for them guys and us to come together to be able to bring this show, I'm stoked, bro. I'm stoked.
I I am too, man. And it's like there is something magical about drag racing on the West Coast, right? I mean, this is where the sport really got its wings, right? I mean, that's where all the legendary stories about drag racing, they're talking about California, right? They're talking about all these incredible match races and these huge meets and all this. And it has seemed like over the course of time, drag racing like moved to the other side of the country, you know? And I'm just curious. I mean, like, can you like how different is the scene? I mean, Boddie, you've traveled all over creation drag racing, but like now that you have that kind of lens to look through of being in all these different pockets, like what do you appreciate about the West Coast, and what do you think maybe you can do different or better that you've experienced somewhere else?
Well, what I appreciate about the West Coast is, unfortunately, we're losing a lot of tracks, and the small tracks that we have now, we have great weather. If you watch the NHRA when they come up to Sonoma, they're breaking records out there. The weather and the air off the coast is unbelievable. So for me, it's all about that West Coast vibe, man. And then to know that we the roots, like you think about this West Coast racing, and to know this is where a lot of stuff started at, and for us to be the part of bringing it back. It thrills me, man. It's like we're trying to carry it on our back. You know what I'm saying? Me and Race Wars right now, we're trying to put it on our back and bring it back to the form it was back in the 70s and things like that. So, yeah.
Matt, how do you feel about that? I mean, does that track with you when I say that it like moved across the country?
It definitely did. And I am guilty of moving across the country as well. I actually relocated to Nashville in 2021. And so I've had the opportunity to go to Beach Bend in Kentucky. And obviously I've been up to Maryland in World Cup and Bradenton in Florida, and just seeing, kind of what the East Coast is doing. And, I wish I could put a finger on it. It's sad, Boddie kind of touched on it. We've lost what I would call grassroots racetracks. And even some bigger, we've lost Sacramento Raceway, which is where we started. That was our home. We lost Fontana. COVID was a big thing, right? It shut down a ton of tracks. And that's made it really difficult to find tracks where the cost doesn't kind of outweigh the potential of just putting on a good race. That's kind of where we've been fortunate is our background. There's two other partners, Marshall and Wayne, and our backgrounds are very different in terms of some are into car shows, some are into drifting, I'm into road racing. And so what we've been able to do is kind of incorporate the fan bases of all three and try to bring it together for one mega event. And really, that's the way we can draw spectators, and that's the way we can create new drag racing fans, right? Is somebody who's a car show guy that's never watched drag races is going, holy smokes, they do more than sit on the pavement. And so that's been, really our blessing, is being able to bring everything together. And that's really how we've been able to afford to even go to a place like Sonoma.
Well, dude, and I think that, Boddie, we were talking, I know you can't hear him, Boddie, but Matt was basically just saying that we've lost some tracks out on the West Coast. Some of the grassroots kind of presence on the West Coast has waned over time. And it's become hard because if you want to put on an event, you've got to go to some of these mega facilities where the overhead is significant and you can't maybe do things the way you've always done them. And I just went on a half-hour tirade about websites and promoting these things adequately and providing coverage. But, to that point, I go to racewarsusa.com and I find a website that's got information. I can buy tickets. I know the schedule. And Matt, Boddie, one of the things I'm noticing is it kind of expands beyond just drag racing. I personally feel like we're in an era of festivals. There's kind of two different paths, right? We've got the traditional like IHRA national event, right? It's going to be all day long. We're going to run 12 or 20 different classes. You're going to sit in the stands. You're going to watch cars go down the track. You're going to go buy something during the little bit of downtime or go see somebody in the pits, and you're going to do it again. I feel like modern events are throwing a lot of shit against the barn door, right? I mean, if it's drifting, it's a bikini contest or a bike show or a stereo competition, whatever we got to do. And I applaud you guys for that. I mean, Boddie, do you agree with that kind of belief system?
Man, I totally agree. And to bring this atmosphere, one of the things I'm so excited about is it's reinventing drag racing to me, because I grew up in drag racing when it was just all about the drag racing scene. It was nothing about the festivity. And for us to be able to be a part of this is a show. And then when you got it crammed in such a small place, we got drifting, bikini contest, import car show, domestic car show, drag bikes, drag imports, domestic big tire, Pro Mod, all in one place. It's insane, bro. I've never been in an environment like the atmosphere we have at Sonoma. And one other thing is I wanted to elaborate on. You asked about the difference in West Coast and East Coast racing. Unfortunately, with us losing tracks and us having a strong curfew at 6 and 7 o'clock, this is a very, very hard track to race on. A lot of people, they see the West Coast and they don't realize how much we have to run in a dead heat of the night. When most tracks get the advantage to run at certain hours, we have to run in the dead heat of the day. The sun is always beaming on the track, and we're pretty much rushed because we know that the race has to be done by 6 o'clock. So with these circumstances, it's very tough to race on the West Coast, and a lot of people don't understand that racing in other places and having all these variety tracks to test on all the time. You can go here and test. Right now, we're having a race, and I know in grudge racing form, this is pretty much off the trailer. We don't get all these test times. We don't get all this. You know what I'm saying? So it's tough, man. It's tough.
Matt, do you? I mean, that it's a solid observation, and I had no clue. 6 o'clock is the curfew at Sonoma.
Yeah, I won't get political with you,
Okay.
Wes, but it's a lot of politics.
Okay, well, we can talk some. That's an incredible thing. Like, what a challenge! But I got to tell you, and I'm not trying to be like a life coach here, but I don't see a problem as much as I see an opportunity, right? Because I think one of the things that has happened in drag racing is we do it the same way we've always done it, which are 12 or 14-hour days. And I got to tell you, man, I feel, and I actually saw a bunch of comments in the chat earlier, and if anybody agrees with me, I'd love to hear them, because don't be wrong, I'll go, right? I'll go to the track and be there for 14 hours. My wife ain't. My kids ain't, right? No, none of my friends are, right? The people that I invite to the races, they want to come out for a few hours, be entertained, see some cool shit, and then they've probably got something else to do, right? They probably got tickets to a concert that night, or their kids in a baseball tournament. People are busier today than they've ever been at any point in human history. And it's like, if we just keep doing it the way we've always done it, I think we're going to find ourselves in a bad spot one of these days. Our sport has preserved, right? And this group of people, we're going to find a way to go drag racing, right? If we've got to do it before the sun goes down, by God, we'll do it before the sun goes down, but we're going racing. But my point is, I do think that this prevents, Matt, you as a organizer, operator here, like, you've got an opportunity to get people in there, show them a hell of a time, and then get them home for dinner.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, you're spot on. One of the things that we've kind of held as a company philosophy is differentiate and dominate, right? We've always looked at what's working and what can we do to be different, and so that really started kind of that idea of turning it into more of a festival, and getting something for everyone. And, I did want to touch on this because I did forget to mention this when you had, brought up kind of what's different about Race Wars. But one of the things I've seen the East Coast do really well, and we want to be the kind of the pioneers to do this, is the DCT class. Going to Florida and going to World Cup and seeing just how popular the DCT class has become and how insane these events are just for DCT. We want in on that. So we've introduced the DCT class this year, and so we're super excited to try to bring it on the West Coast because they're going to set records at Sonoma.
For those that are my hardcore guys that are more used to talking about Lincos and Liberties, DCT is all these all-wheel drive GTRs, Audi R8s, Lamborghinis that have, taken the motorsports world by storm. I mean, we saw it here in Texas. I'm in DFW. I mean, Texas 2K came down here in March, the third weekend of March, and burnt Texas Motorplex to the ground, packed the place full of people, hundreds of cars. Like, it's hard to believe there's that many twin turbo Lambos in the world, let alone one weekend in DFW. So I'm excited for you, man. I mean, that's a super high end part of street car drag racing that I get excited about because Boddie knows where I'm headed with this. Probably, if you can spend $500,000 on a fucking turbo Lambo, I could probably get you in a Pro Mod car. You know what I'm saying? But I've got to get the drag race, you know what I mean? And I've got to get you to fall in love with this, and I got to get that hook set in you. I see that really as an inventory of guys that are waiting in the wings because they're spending the kind of money that they could go run a pretty serious Pro Mod schedule. But so, I mean, I appreciate that because I need those guys going and racing and tearing those damn things up like they do, because eventually they'll go, man, I'm calling Todd Totoro and buying a tie drive and a Pro Mod car. You know what I mean? Because it'll be cheaper than this Lambo. Right.
Absolutely.
That's right.
No, it's interesting times, man. It really, I think that I wanted to talk a little bit about, is it do you drive across a desert through a runway to get to the racetrack with the T-top off of your Supra?
Just like the movies, man. Just like the movies.
Just like we could serious. Okay.
We could talk about the humble beginnings, but remember 2013, I was still a young pup. And so I'm not too ashamed to admit this, but Fast and the Furious was a big inspiration in my life. I saw it when I was 10 years old. Yep. Oh, I've got the whole collection back there. Let me tell you. Yeah, huge fan. And so when we started the event, I've got that one. Yep, I've got
Dominic. It's fucking Dominic Toretto, baby.
Oh, yep.
Right here.
Yes.
Right. Hold on, I'm not done.
I'm gonna get mine.
Got 'em all.
I got that one too.
Got them all.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, and I'll tell you, dude. I mean, I'm glad you're admitting it, because we can talk about Street Outlaws and No Prep Kings, but there's no denying, no matter how goofy you think it may be now, right? Fast and the Furious had a massive positive impact on car culture and racing. Massive.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I again, when Paul passed away, it was devastating to me, because it was such a big change in my life curve, just seeing that movie and how it infatuated me with motorsports. And so when we started the event, we really wanted to create that scene and that atmosphere from the first film. And we had a good friend who actually worked on set, was kind of part of the production team of the race war scene, as well as some scenes in Fast and the Furious 4. And so he actually collaborated with us, and we had the original race war shirts from the set. They were yellow.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
Super cool. So we were like doing that before it was ever being done. There was no other race wars around, and out of respect to Universal, we didn't want to get sued. That's why we made the goofy spelling of the name. Everyone's like, why is it Wars? Like, we're the first ones to do it, but we were like, dude, we don't have the pockets to go with Universal, so let's try to avoid that. Yeah, that's really kind of the big inspiration behind it, was that airstrip scene in Arizona from the first film.
For what it's worth, that airstrip scene in Fast and Furious, the original, like, that's a great, like, I remember being at the movie theater, and at the time, like, I don't know how old I was when Fast and the Furious came out. Mike would know. Mike, how old were we?
We were older than he said he was when it came.
I was 10. We'll go with 88.
That.
Okay.
We were probably in our 18, 20.
I think I was a senior in high school, if I remember correctly. Okay. So I was 18, and I'd spent my whole life drag racing, right? Like, we went racing every weekend. I mean, that's what we did. And so I was hyper ingrained in drag racing. Some kids played football and baseball. I went racing with my old man and my uncles. That's what I did. And but it was still surreal to be sitting in a movie theater with a bucket of popcorn watching him drag race. You know what I mean? And it was kind of a jankety version of drag racing, right? But it was still, I'm like, this is so cool. And then leaving the movie theater, it didn't matter what you were driving. Mom's minivan, a 4-cylinder S10, a Jeep Wrangler. You were squalling out of the parking lot, speeding. I mean, it was like this. It was such a great moment. And we saw, like, the modern replication of that was Street Outlaws and No Prep Kings. I mean, we talk about it on this show all the time. Like, for whatever hate that group of racers received, I don't know that you can identify a single group of racers that did more for the popularity of drag racing over the course of the last decade than Street Outlaws. And I think all of them, like Sam Corcus, Craig Pillion, everybody involved in that deal, deserve a tremendous amount of credit. All the characters that were created. I mean, I still have people emailing me asking when Big Chief is coming to one of my Pro Mod races. You know what I'm saying? It's like
100%. We get the emails all the time. Is Daddy Dave coming? Is Murder Nova coming?
I mean, and that, to me, that tells the story. I mean, that's got to resonate with you, right, Boddie? I mean, what an impact that race. I mean, you lived it.
Yeah, and actually, I'm still living it, man. I sign autographs. It's unbelievable, man. I run into people, kids. I run into people 70 years old. We impact to bring that racing into people's living rooms, man. People that can't make it to racetracks and still be able to connect with you. It was amazing, man. Them times, man. I wish they never went away. It was amazing.
No, I think about all the guys that were able to, and it wasn't hundreds of people, but the fact that there were people earning a living drag race indoor cars, to me, that felt like victory. No matter who was involved or who wasn't allowed in or whatever other gossip there was, the fact remained that there was a pocket of people that were touring the country, earning a living going drag racing. And for me, that's my North Star. Like that is what gets me out of bed in the morning, is like, how can we create an environment where a kid, because one of the things that I think hurts us, or is something that we've got to overcome, is I have young racers come up to me all the time and they're like, Wes, man, what do I got to do to get a Pro Mod ride? And I'm like, the reality is I need to grab them by the shoulders and say, get a fucking job. Like quit racing is what you need to do, or go start a business. You know what I mean? Like in reality, like if you want to do it the way all these other guys, all the people that are your heroes, what they did is they probably took a decade or more off from racing, went and built a business and poured every ounce of energy they had into it. And now they can afford to race because they want to race, right? They can write it off through their business, whatever the case may be. But I hate that, because I want to be able to tell some young lad or some young gal that's trying to become the next Boddie or the next Erica Enders or the next Aaron Stanfield or Jed Coughlin. I want to be able to tell them, hey man, if you work hard and eat your Wheaties and do a good job behind the wheel and don't wreck people's stuff and are responsible, you'll probably, you can get a ride, right? But the reality is, unless you bring a lot of money to the table, or you're an otherworldly talent like the Travis Harveys and Lyle Barnetts of the world, you're gonna struggle, right? And I hate that. I want to create a world in drag racing where a kid can dream. A kid can dream to go, I'm going to become a professional drag racer, and one of these days I'm going to put a roof over my family's head and pay my bills going drag racing. And I don't think Street Outlaws proved it's possible, boys, right? I mean, that to me, when I look at it, it's like there's evidence that it can be done. Can it be done easily? Can it be done forever? I don't know, but it can be done.
Yeah, you're spot on. And it starts with the desire, right? That's the big thing. It's getting people to the track and seeing Boddie's Nova for the first time. That'll draw some inspiration for a lot of people.
100%, man. Boddie, what's it been like? And I'll cut you guys loose. I appreciate your time here this afternoon. Matt, before we let you go, I do want to get like key details and where people can take action and get involved. But Boddie, I just want to touch on like getting to know your son over the course of the last few years has been especially satisfying for me. I've known you for a long time, but getting to see him blossom, having him be a part of the Drag Illustrated 30 Under 30 a few years ago, see him wheeling cars. Like, what's it like to been able to be not only to be able to do this? I mean, you talk about the autographs, traveling the country, the exposure and the experience, but being able to do it with your family.
Man, it's unbelievable, man. I started with my dad, and then when I took off, he was watching me. We on a TV show. And for my son to grow up right up under that and then take the wheel and to drive the way he drives and to be able to be a part of that, I coached him all the way, It's unbelievable, man. The words you can't really describe the words, man. Like a lot of times you drag your career out. You see guys 70, 80 years old. I know that won't be me, man, because I can get out the car and watch him drive and get just as much satisfaction as I could with me driving the car, And like I said, the words just don't describe, man, to be able to race with your kid. Now I got a grandson. He has a kid now who's jumping around and he wants to drive next. So, hey, he's only 4 years old. So, man, it's amazing, man. This is a family sport. A lot of people who ain't into it might not understand how these families come together and race for generations, man. Most of us, we didn't just start racing. Most of us, like you say, our stories is almost the same. Our parents raced. So for me to be able to leave that legacy for my son and him to take the torch and me to be able to watch it is amazing.
I love it, man. Matt, tell everybody, I mean, obviously we got Race Wars coming up this weekend at Sonoma Raceway, June, what is it, 13th through?
13th and 14th,
Saturday, Sunday, Sonoma Raceway. Hit them with the details, where they can follow along, where they can get tickets.
Yeah, racewarsusa.com. You can buy tickets there. You can follow us on Instagram or Facebook or TikTok. Race Wars, RACEWORZ. I know it's wonky. I explained that story. We'll be gates open really at 7 a.m. However, event hours are 10 to 6. But as soon as the gates open for the drag racers, we really open it for the general population because they want to see everything. So we're pretty much all day Saturday and Sunday.
Man, I can't wait for you guys. I'm super excited. Like I told Boddie, he's like, "Oh, do you got to come?" And I'm like, "Dude, my wife's out of town. I'm on dad duty this week, or I'd book a flight." Sonoma. I've never been to Sonoma. This is a thing that I'm like hesitant to admit in public, but Mike and I talk about it every year. They're like, we're going to go to Sonoma this year. We're going to go to wine country. We're going to spend 2 or 3 days jacking around. Then we're going to spend a couple days at the racetrack. Maybe not this year, but we're going to get her done soon. It's on my bucket list. I wish you guys nothing but the best. If there's anything that myself or the team here at Drag Illustrated can do to help, let us know.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Wes, man.
We appreciate you guys. Stay out of trouble. Boddie, connect me and Matt.
Okay, we'll do.
All right.
Take care,
Thank you guys. Talk soon.
Okay. Alrighty.
All right, guys. Michael's back. I see Blake in the green room. Blake's on a conference call or something, I think. Nope, he's done. Okay, Blake's back. Give me some company here. I'm all alone. Or do you guys want me to rant about something?
Just wait for you to do a script read, and then I was coming in.
Oh, okay. Here, 1 second. Take me back full screen.
What you got?
Let me pay some bills here real quick. Guys, I want to give a quick shout out to our friends at Strange Engineering. For more than 50 years, Strange has been a household name among racers and crew chiefs, hardcore racing and performance, street, drive, line, and suspension components that flat out get the job done. Rear ends, axles, brakes, struts, shocks. If it's under the car and it matters, Strange has you covered. Don't just race Strange. Learn more at strangeengineering.net. Mike, we're down to the closing minutes. We got like 16 minutes
I did
here.
confirm that we were 18 when The Fast and the Furious came out, the original movie.
Great movie.
So,
great movie.
Blake
Favorite car? What was your favorite car from Fast and Furious?
Definitely Dom's. What was
Charger?
What was it? Yeah, Charger, blown Charger at the end. Yeah.
Oh, weak. I'm all about that.
It was the
Toyota
most
Supra
like
life.
it was the most like a drag car. And then, watching them, I can remember being in the theater. I forget who I went and saw that with. And I'm like,
I got the T-tops off on my Supra.
Yeah. I'm like, this is not what racing actually is.
No,
it's cool to see it in the theater, right? I mean, it's kind of like you'll take that win to see like such a major movie about cars and drag racing. And then when he's like, they're running through their like 24 speed transmission and they're racing across like it seems like 8 miles and then pops the wheelie on the street and then
they're in like
jump
gear
the deal.
Berm,
Yeah.
berm, berm. It's like, dude, they never made one of those cars with a 12 speed,
and the sound that always gets me too. That movie, the sound was probably more accurate, but like you'll watch a commercial of drag racing or something, it'll be like a Top Fuel car with a pro stock engine sound or vice versa or something. Makes me want to vomit.
It does me too. But that movie, I made my kids watch it. Like they know in the house that like if you live under my roof, I make you watch that movie. I make you watch Gone in 60 Seconds, which is my all-time favorite movie. The new version, not the 70s version. I like my Nicolas Cage. I like my Gone in 60 Seconds with Nicolas Cage. But I'm a big Nick Cage guy.
The Gone in 60 Seconds when he hits the nitrous button, love that. That was always dude. I worked at Bose Audio, like when I say Bose, people are like Bojangles, which is a thing around here, but Bose, BOSE, and they, you sell the home theater systems. And the movie that had just came out that was like did a good job of showing the capabilities of the audio system was Gone in 60 Seconds, and it was that clip. So I literally have that seared into my brain, but it could be worse. It could be worse.
Mike at the mall kiosk selling Bose.
No, it's not a kiosk. It's a full blown store. Pretty cool place to work too. It was awesome. And we got discounts and free shit. So still a Bose guy.
I'm actually a Bose guy too. You wear AirPods though? You don't use Bose?
Yeah, no, I don't wear. Yeah, I need to get some of those QC headphones. I've just never. I've gone full Apple mode, I guess.
Yeah, you kind of turned me on to Apple 15 years ago, and I've never really looked back. If Apple makes it, that's what I get.
Yeah. And then Fast and Furious 2, the worst thing when he calls it NOS. Oh, man, yeah. That was rough. There was some rough moments in that.
There were some rough moments. A lot of killer product placement, but seriously, man, that movie, the Supra and the Charger drag race across the train tracks, that's iconic, I think. The down the Pacific Highway, you know, when they're like racing the dude in the Ferrari or the Porsche or whatever it is in the orange Supra. Supras are making a comeback, dude. Last week, you know, obviously they're all over social media. Like
Victor Alvarez owns
I think Vic Alvarez owns every Supra on the planet currently.
Yeah.
But we did a poll on the website or on social media a few weeks ago talking about what should be the next Pro Mod body. Blown away by how many people said like a Supra, a late 90s Supra, 96, 97, 98 Supra or whatever. And it's like,
well, we've seen some attempts.
I would like to see that.
At kind of a not homemade. That would be not doing it justice because they actually look pretty good. But like when you take the Bickle, I've seen the Bickle Camaro Pro Mod body made into a Supra. I think maybe even a 5-star body I've seen painted into a Supra type look. Didn't that one guy, Dewey Bowie, didn't he do something like have a,
I think so.
Something like that? Yeah. We've seen some attempts over in the Middle East and you know, various
I would like to see it, man. I really would. I got to tell you, man, after Dewey Bowie and Eric Lafayette's performance at the Shakedown, I literally sent Eric a text immediately and said, dude, that car's got to run at the World Series of Pro Mod. Like, I know that maybe they can't run mid 50s yet or whatever, which is probably what it's going to take. But that car went 364 in the 8th mile. And I see like it deserves, that combination deserves to be represented at the biggest, richest Pro Mod race in the history of the known universe.
We talked about this story also, and I'm probably going to butcher this, but when they were building the new C7 body, Synergy Composites was putting that together. That was originally going to be a Supra for KH. I think that was the initial plan, and then Toyota found out about it and put the kibosh on it.
Oh, dude, we got to. I mean, we know people at Toyota. Like, there's got to be.
I could be totally butchering that, and then they pivoted and made it into a new Corvette body. I could be
no
wrong.
shit. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I think. Yeah.
Did Tim at Synergy tell us that story?
Yeah, I think he did, or I don't know,
because I'm remembering bits and pieces of it.
So I'm probably butchering that up, or maybe he told it when he was on Boost and Bullshit.
Maybe that's what it was. But no, dude, I think a Pro Mod, we need a couple of imports in the scene. Like, that's been one of my favorite things about the World Series of Pro Mod is that, like, right now it's pretty much one of the only places you can see a slew of different combinations, and that's probably the only place where you could see something like that happen. But how crazy would it be if Dewey Bowie and Eric qualified for the World Series of Pro Mod with a inline 6-cylinder?
That'd be awesome. Yeah, Joshua Jones, he says, confirmed.
Okay, so it was on Boost and Bullshit.
Yeah, I'm not making that up.
Now
I was like, as I'm start telling some of these stories, I can't remember what I'm supposed to talk about publicly and what I'm not, and what maybe was just said as like a rumor or a joke or what's real. So forgive me sometimes. You may get some mix of all of the above.
That's okay, dude. I'm going to tell you what, when you've spent a lifetime at the drag strip, you've heard a lot of stories, a lot of bullshit stories too. So it's kind of hard to keep them all straight, man. It's no biggie. Well, Mike, thank you, dude. And thank you guys so much. We had a hell of a crowd here today. Huge shout out to our guest, Travis, the Carolina Kid. Harvey, congrats on a hell of a weekend. Incredible performance. Of course, excited to see what happens for Matt and Boddie this weekend at Sonoma Raceway for Race Wars. Stay tuned to stay plugged into dragillustrated.com. Thanks for being a part of this. Remember to click like, click share, click subscribe. Help us spread the gospel of drag racing. It's going to take every single one of us to get this sport where I know it's going, and we appreciate the help. Mike, I appreciate the time. Blake in the green room, thank you so much, and I will see you guys at the racetrack.
Yep. See you next week.